The night was supposed to be ordinary, but fate had written a different script. He had been away for several days on a sudden business trip, the kind that demanded his attention and presence. As a successful millionaire, his life often revolved around meetings, deals, and endless responsibilities. Yet he never forgot the people who mattered most to him. His mother, frail and aging, lived with him not because she had nowhere else to go, but because he wanted her close, cared for, and comfortable in the later years of her life. She had given everything for him, working tirelessly through poverty to ensure he had a future, and he believed no amount of wealth could ever repay what she had sacrificed. Tonight, he was returning home early, eager to surprise both his mother and his fiancée. He had picked out flowers on the way back, a bouquet of her favorites, and planned to walk in smiling, expecting warmth, laughter, and love. But what awaited him was something that would forever alter the way he looked at the people closest to him. As he parked his sleek black car in the driveway, a strange heaviness tugged at his chest. The house looked the same from the outside, its lights glowing softly against the night, but something inside him whispered that all was not well. He brushed it off, convincing himself that he was only tired from the long journey. Unlocking the front door, he stepped quietly into the hallway, the faint sound of voices drifting from the living room. His smile widened as he pictured his fiancée and mother chatting together, perhaps sharing tea or laughing over a light-hearted story. He wanted to sneak in unnoticed and surprise them both, but as he drew closer, his steps slowed. The tone of the voice he heard was not one of care or kindness. It was harsh, cruel, and filled with venom. He frowned, clutching the flowers tighter, and then turned the corner. What he saw froze him to the ground. His elderly mother was curled up on the floor, her frail hands raised as if to shield herself, while his fiancée, the woman he had trusted with his future, stood over her with eyes blazing and foot raised, ready to kick again. For a split second, he could not comprehend what he was seeing. His world tilted, his breath caught in his throat, and the bouquet of flowers slipped from his hand, scattering across the polished floor like broken promises. Time seemed to stop, and the only sound was his mother's muffled whimper as the truth carved itself deep into his heart. His fiancée spun around, startled, her face pale when she saw him standing there. I can explain," she stammered, but her voice trembled, betraying her fear. His mother, trembling and struggling to rise, looked at him with tears streaming down her cheeks, shame clouding her frail eyes. He rushed forward, pulling his mother into his arms, his heart breaking at the bruises already forming on her delicate skin. He whispered soothingly to her, though his own voice shook with fury. He had always believed his fiancée was caring, gentle, and loving, the kind of woman who would become the perfect wife and daughter-in-law. Yet here she stood, exposed in her cruelty, unable to hide behind the mask she had worn so convincingly. Rage surged through him like fire in his veins. He stood slowly, towering over her, his eyes no longer soft with love but hard as steel. "Explain," he hissed. "Explain why the woman who carried me, who sacrificed her life for me, lies on the ground because of you. Explain why you raised your hand, your foot, against her." His voice cracked like thunder in the room, each word dripping with disgust. She shrank back, her once confident demeanor crumbling under the weight of his wrath. She tried to reach for him, tried to soften her tone, but he stepped back, refusing her touch. For the first time he saw her for who she truly was, and the illusion shattered completely. His mother clung to him, her frail body trembling. He held her tighter, vowing silently that he would never let anyone hurt her again. His fiancée's eyes darted around desperately, as though searching for a way to twist the situation back in her favor. "She provoked me," she blurted out. "She insulted me," she said things. But before she could finish, his voice roared over hers. "And that justifies this." His hand pointed to the floor, to the bruises on his mother's arms. "You think words give you the right to harm her. You think my love for you blinds me so much that I would excuse this." His tone was sharp, merciless, leaving no space for denial. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by his mother's quiet sobs. Memories flooded his mind, Moments when he had introduced his fiancée to his mother, proud and hopeful that they would form a bond. He recalled how his mother had welcomed her warmly, how she had smiled and spoken kindly despite her frailty. He had believed those smiles were genuine, but now he realized they had been masks worn to deceive him. Every sweet word, every soft smile from his fiancée was a performance, and the truth lay bare in the violence he had just witnessed. He felt sick, betrayed not only as a son, but as a man who had given his trust, his wealth, and his heart to someone so undeserving. His fiancée tried again, her voice cracking. "Please, listen to me. I didn't mean it, I was just upset." But he cut her off with a look so cold it silenced her instantly. "Upset," he repeated slowly, his words like knives. "When I'm upset, I leave the room, I take a breath, I walk away. But you take it out on a helpless, elderly woman who has never harmed you. That is who you truly are. This is who you've been hiding from me." He turned his back on her, focusing entirely on his mother, who was now clutching his hand, as though afraid he might vanish. His heart broke again at her fragility, at the thought of what she had endured while he was away. He helped her into a chair, gently brushing her hair back, whispering reassurances, promising her that she was safe now. His mother looked at him with eyes filled not with blame, but with love, as if to say she was only glad he was there. But he knew love alone was not enough. Something inside him had hardened, a line had been drawn, and he would not let it be crossed again. His fiancée, realizing she had lost him, began to plead, her words tumbling out desperately. She spoke of stress, of misunderstandings, of love she claimed she still had for him. But her words fell empty, hitting the walls like echoes with no meaning. He no longer saw the woman he once dreamed of marrying. He saw only a stranger capable of cruelty, someone who had desecrated the sanctity of his home and his trust. He walked to the door, pulled it open, and with a voice that shook with authority, said, "Leave. Now." She hesitated, shocked at the finality in his tone. You can't mean that," she whispered, her voice breaking. But he did not waver. His silence was louder than any words, his resolve unshakable. She lingered for a moment, tears streaking her face, before realizing there was no forgiveness waiting for her, no second chance. Slowly, she stepped past him, her heels clicking against the floor, each sound a reminder of the shattered bond left behind. When the door closed behind her, the house seemed to exhale, the tension lifting like a storm finally breaking. He sank to his knees beside his mother, holding her hands in his. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, guilt lacing every syllable. "I should have been here. I should have seen through her sooner." But his mother, with the same tenderness she had shown him all his life, shook her head and touched his cheek. "You saw her true face when it mattered," she said softly. "And you chose me. That is all I need." Her words pierced his soul, reminding him of the unbreakable bond they shared. No wealth, no fiancée, no betrayal could ever sever the love between a mother and son. As the night grew deeper, he stayed by her side, tending to her wounds, listening to her steady breathing, and reflecting on the choices that had brought him here. His heart ached, but it also felt lighter, cleansed of the poison that had crept into his life through deceit. He realized that sometimes life tore away the masks people wore, not to destroy you, but to protect you from what could destroy you in the future. He had been spared a lifetime of pain by discovering the truth early, even if it came in the cruelest way.